All right, Pablo is back. Pablo is back. Don't know Pablo? Don't know what we're talking about? He's the container guy, man. He brings your household goods from wherever you live to Costa Rica because you want to live here. He brings your vehicle down if you want to live here. He's that guy. And if you don't like Costa Rica, he'll help you ship it back. Anyway, guys, this is going to be a feisty video because you know what? Pablo's in the business of bringing your car down here, and he's going to tell you all the reasons you shouldn't do it. Anyway, guys, I'm Michael Allen, TravelCostaRicaNow.com. TravelCostaRicaNow.com is a travel agency, so go to TravelCostaRicaNow.com. Fill out the 4-minute form. You'll be that much closer to vacation of a lifetime. We're like you, having best friends who live in Costa Rica, who know Costa Rica, totally hooking up your Costa Rica vacation. Hey, man, please subscribe. It helps me out a lot. YouTube doesn't care. If you want to see our videos as we put them up, hit the notification bell. Pablo, thanks for coming back. You know, this is what I love about people that I circle myself with. They're going to tell you the truth. He's in the shipping business. This is what he does. This is how he keeps the lights on in his house. And we're going to talk about why you shouldn't ship your car down here. How funny is that? All right, Pablo, let's talk. I mean, you do ship cars.
Yeah, I do.
And you do ship household goods, and you do ship everywhere. Actually, maybe mention some of the countries, or yeah, maybe another brief, you know, what you do, and then we'll get into the why they shouldn't ship their car.
Okay. Hey guys, thank you, Michael, for having me back. Basically, what I do is we offer international moving services, international shipping services, and we focus on expats. So this is our international relocation partner. This is our firm. We have this small.
Was that a shameless plug you just did, Pablo? A shameless plug on your international?
Little, I have to pay the bills.
A little ad, right?
Yeah, yeah. But anyway, basically, what we do is we help people ship things. You know, do international shipping. We were born in Costa Rica, and we grow the business. We do business in Costa Rica, Panama. We have an operation offices in Nicaragua, and I have people that work for me in Guatemala and Mexico. And we focus on helping expats that are moving from the States or Canada to popular expat destinations. That's our main goal. Of course, most of the business we do is Costa Rica. I'm Costa Rican. You know, this is what I know the most. But we do have requirements for people that are moving to Portugal. We do a lot of business in Panama. Ecuador is a hot spot as well.
Yeah, that's kind of true right now.
And Ecuador is a hot spot. Belize used to be a hot spot, not anymore. You know, those things. And I think our main difference is that we focus on expats, people that are moving abroad. That are looking to retire. You know, our basically our customer is you guys. You know, people that fall in love with Costa Rica and they now want to move to Costa Rica. There is a lot of questions, and I do feel that we provide to the community a lot of answers that most of the regular or traditional shipping companies do not care about. They don't answer. They just want to have, you know, here's the freight, this is how much, and just figure out the rest. That's how I did. This is how that feels to me, you know, and I'd rather, and the way we are building our business is we want to provide answers to our customers, explain things to our customers, and at the end of the day, that generate more. That's good business, you know. You create more referrals. We get more people to give us, you know, good feedback.
Well, I think let me add in there, because the reason I wanted to circle myself with you and your company is because oh, by the way, we've done a couple other videos with Pablo. If you want to know all about what he does, and we talk in detail about this, we've done 2 other videos with Pablo. I'm going to put those links in the description, so you definitely want to check those out if you're thinking about moving or living in Costa Rica and you're thinking about shipping your stuff. But the reason I think is even more important, I mean, you do talk to the customers, you go an extra mile, but what I like is, we talked about, I think in the last video, you are very transparent. When somebody asks you, what's the ballpark figure of my household goods from my house to over here in Costa Rica, they're not going to be surprised when they get to Costa Rica and you know, they're going to know all the fees. You're transparent in your pricing, unlike a lot of other things you run into where, oh, I'm sorry, we didn't tell you about that fee? Oh, it's only $2,000. And then there's another one and another one. And you're like, what just happened? I budgeted.
It happens a lot.
I know.
It happens a lot. It happens for different reasons. I think because whoever is moving internationally may only do this once. So you don't have the experience. So you are in a spot where you rely on whoever you're hiring, and if they're not transparent enough, or if they don't have the expertise to point out all of these things, then you end up being in a rough spot.
Yeah, I get down to Costa Rica. I didn't plan on any of this, and all of a sudden I got a bunch of fees that maybe I wasn't aware of. How much import tax, or I had to put my stuff in storage over here, or I had to wait over here, and it's going to cost.
And I do feel I have a good way to kind of like select if I wanted to move internationally. If it's not, I would stay away from people that make it sound like it's a walk in the park. That just
is not true,
it's
and it's
not
like
a
if
walk
they
in the
say
park.
that.
No,
Yeah.
it's not a walk in the park. And this is why we're doing this video. We want to talk about, please don't, let's stay away from shipping your vehicle. What are the reasons not to ship your vehicle? I think this is going to help a lot of people. And if you still need to ship it, I'm happy to help. But they are going to give you a lot of reasons why not to.
Okay, but I love my car, Pablo. It's a Toyota, whatever. I just bought it used. It's worth maybe about $30,000. I really want to bring it. I'm coming to Costa Rica. Love Costa Rica. I want to bring my car.
Okay. The first reason why.
What should I be what should I be thinking about?
Okay, first, a lot of people think they're gonna save money. This is you're just guessing you're gonna save money, but in reality, after all the costs, international shipping costs, after all of the red tape, it's not just red tape in Costa Rica. It's a lot of a lot of countries that have red tape for exporting a vehicle because it's a vehicle that's got an engine, it's got something that might blow, it's got diesel or gasoline in it. So shipping companies and countries that have a lot of red tape for shipping vehicles, you have to have the original title in your hand before you can ship for most countries. And so there's a lot of red tape to export. And they're also subject to inspection. So Homeland Security or Customs in Canada may want to hold your container and go see the vehicle, make sure it's not a stolen vehicle. And those inspections cost money. It costs $1,000 to take the container into an inspection facility.
Wait a minute, just so on a random, so they might just go, I'm going to make an inspection, and that's going to cost money that they have to pay, even though it was just a random inspection?
Yeah, the owner of the shipment pays for the inspections. They're random. But out of everything, vehicles are the things that get more inspected in general. So the containers with vehicles, because vehicles are being used, first, they could be stolen. They're also being used to smuggle things in the past. So Customs and Homeland Security, they have the additional eye on vehicles. And shipping companies, vessel lines, they also have this additional red tape. This is something that may blow, you have a fuel in it. So you have to follow some restrictions, fill out a special form, making yourself responsible if something happened, and so on. So that's the first part. And when it gets into Costa Rica, there's also a lot of red tape. There's also a very bureaucratic, long process to, make sure the import taxes are right on that specific model, and it's very complicated. Each and every individual vehicle pays a different percentage based on what it is. So if it's a 1 year older, newer, if the engine is a bigger engine, a smaller engine, that could change the entire budget.
Well, tell them, maybe let people know how much, the general, because import taxes can go up to an ungodly percentage. Like, I don't know, the average, what's the average? 70%, 60%?
So this is two different brackets. If the vehicle is newish, newer than 5 years old, you're talking about 53%. It's actually 52%, yada yada. Like to say 53%. So 53%, and if it's older than 5 years, it's 73%. That's the import tax. So it's a big chunk of money.
And it's not on what you think your car costs.
That's a different story. Yeah.
It's not what you think, it's what Costa Rica thinks. That Kelly Blue Book thing, throw that out the window. They got their own book, and it's not that one.
So to start, the Costa Rica government does not care about the value in the US. They don't even care about how many miles you have in the vehicle. So you could have a vehicle that you purchase very inexpensively for like $2,000 because it got 500,000 miles on it. But the Costa Rica government is going to value that based on the year of the vehicle, regardless of the miles. So
so it doesn't even
you're not
come into
save,
play.
You're not going. The value is going to be whatever the vehicle is based on its year.
So are you saying, hey, I paid $2,000 for this car. You should base it on 2,000. That's not happening.
That's not going to work.
That's not happening.
Basically, you could have a newish vehicle with 500,000 miles, newish vehicle, let's say in the US, I don't know, $30,000 newish car and let's say it's got 500,000 miles, brand new, 30 grand. With 500,000 miles, we all know that's going to be less than $10,000 because the depreciation in the U.S. is based on how many miles you have. That's even a tax deductible for the IRS in the U.S. But in Costa Rica, we don't even care. Costa Rica doesn't care. It's a vehicle that is probably worth new in the U.S. $30,000. We're gonna value that based on like it is a newish vehicle.
Now I know you don't have your calculator out, and I'm not going to hold you to it. But my $30,000 Toyota that I want to bring, and I just want to bring my car. I'm not loading it up, whatever. Ballpark figure to get it here. I know there's some variables, whether I live on the West Coast or the East Coast. I understand that, but maybe in a ballpark thing, if everything goes as good as it can go, with the percentage of import taxes, the container, whatever I got to do, approximately how much is that going to be? Trust me, we're not going to hold you to this because I know there's a million variables, but my $30,000 Toyota from I don't know, we can even use Florida because that's better.
Let's say worst case scenario will be like California or Seattle.
Yeah.
Think about $8,000-9,000. There's no much.
That's just
freight, the coordination of the freight, export fees, getting it into Costa Rica. And that does not include import taxes. That does not include the terminal handling charges. So whatever the port at Limon or Caldera, in this case, California Caldera, charge is not included. That's not included. And once it gets into Costa Rica, we need to move the container into a customs terminal. The customs terminal will charge a parking fee for this. It's
kind of like storage or whatever.
It's in a storage per day, and that's going to be an additional $500. And then after that, we pay the tax, which is the tax on a $30,000 car.
But that's going to be the big number, right? The import
I think so.
tax is going to be the big
so
number.
on a $30,000 Tacoma, which I down a few. I think I did this, from the beginning of the year to now. We down a lot of people like Tacomas. I don't know for whatever reason. It's like 6 Tacomas. I did it about 30,000, 35,000. The import tax on it 15 to 18,000. Import tax.
We're up to about 25,000 right now.
So the vehicle is worth 30,000 plus import tax. Best case scenario, 15,000. You're talking about $45,000 plus freight. Let's say it's worst case scenario, $10,000. You're talking about $55,000. So it's $55,000. They're newish, kind of newish.
Wait, I got lost there.
2018.
I thought if it was about a $30,000 car. I mean, I know that Costa Rica is the one that says, how much my Tacoma's worth.
Mm-hmm.
So I paid about, let's say, $7,000 for the container. I thought it's not 53% or so or whatever it is of the 30,000.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but remember, I'm giving numbers based on this very like the Tacoma. I seen this 15,000 to 18,000 on that specific model. I mean, it could be worth 30,000 in the U.S. That's about right. That's about 50%. It's 50 something percent. Kind of like, but it's not exact. It may be that it's a different number depending on the value or what the government believes in Costa Rica is worth. But at the end of the day, if you do 30,000, $15,000 plus freight, you're thinking about $55,000. Now the Tacomas is a newish. I'm thinking about 2019, 2020. Newish vehicles. They're very expensive as well. If you go and look around, it may be that they're $50,000 on the road. So it's on that example, they're kind of even, but a lot of cases I think it's more expensive to import. And then even if you're coming even with the money, you're not saving anything, but you're not making money in it. The entire project could take 90 days. So 90 days, no car. What are you going to do in 90 days? You're going to work. You're going to walk to the supermarket. You're going to have to rent a car, and this vehicle is going to cost you at least $2,000 a month. So you have to add that.
There's $6,000 right there.
Yeah, $6,000, and then this is the shipping process. Then once we finish shipping and customs, there is the registration process, which is just like whenever you're buying a vehicle in the U.S., you have to take it to the DMV. They're gonna charge a fee. It's a percentage, or it is a fee. In Costa Rica, it could be $500 to $1,000. It depends on the vehicle. If it's a newish vehicle, very expensive, luxurious car, it could be $3,000, $4,000. If it's an older vehicle, it could be a lot less. But that's a fee that you have to consider, and the process, the additional process after customs finish, I think it's about 2 weeks before you can get your license plate, get everything in place.
I think
it's complex.
I think nobody really does think of the first thing you said, which is the 3 months you're not going to have a car. I don't think anybody really considers that. They think they're gonna. I brought my car down. I got a car, and then they go, wait a minute, I don't got a car.
No, and you know, because this is easy for me to say, because in over a decade of doing business, you know, my first customers, yes, I can ship a vehicle for you. You know, unexperienced guy, right? The unexperienced shipping guys are going to say, yes, I can ship it down for you. And it's going to take the business. And then it's going to have a customer calling him every day. Where's my car? Where's my car? I need my car. I need to go to the church. I need to go. I want to take it to the beach. I want to take my girl. So, you know, that happens in my first year of doing business a lot of times. So I learned that be able to be transparent and to explain the process and teach you what to expect, it's a lot better than just trying to hide things, whatever. It's a lot better. It's just show, I don't know, that's just.
In the best case scenario, if you're bringing down your car, in the best cases, so the right car you bring down, everything goes well, you pretty much, you can maybe break even, right? I mean, instead of maybe buying a car here, but to me, it's always been you're going to spend more bringing your car here.
It's going to be very few cases where you're going to make money. Very, very few cases.
Is that an older car or a newer car normally?
It to me is, if there is a lot of demand in Costa Rica, customs or the government is going to value that vehicle really highly because there is demand. There's a desire of a vehicle. You can easily get it and resell it. So the values on those vehicles are usually higher. If there is not much demand in the Costa Rica, sometimes you can find some holes there where it may make sense, but there is very few. So do not ship the vehicle until you do the entire analysis, getting an estimate on the import taxes, getting an estimate on the freight to see if it's worth it or not. In most cases, it's not worth it. Do not ship it. But if you want to do it, I'm happy to help.
Well, you brought up another good point. I mean, my car isn't really down here. You know, what if I want to bring a car? I think it's pretty apparent that I don't really know much about cars, but let's say, I don't know, a Mercedes. Well, do they have Mercedes? I don't know. Whatever.
You got some.
Okay, give me a car that you don't
but
have.
I think
so. What I'm saying is, what if you don't have the parts here? You don't have the mechanics to work on the car. You don't have this. It's like, yeah, you might be able to bring it down here, and it might even be cost effective in some way. But now you can't get parts for it, and if you get the parts for it, you can't really have somebody to work on it. I mean, that's a thing here.
Of course.
You know, so maybe go explain that a little bit, because that's a big consideration. You got your car, but there's.
Let me just put it this way: do not ship a vehicle that is not around. Like if you're in Costa Rica, you go to San Jose, you get to the airport, and then you may be driving a Cadillac in California. If you don't see it around here, there is a reason why. You know, it's just there is not enough market for this vehicle, so do not ship it. It kind of works this way, and it works like. I hate to be like this complicated, but it's like kind of like how the economy works. We have in Costa Rica 5 million people. Out of the 5 million people in Costa Rica, most of them are going to buy small engine, good fuel economy Toyotas or Japanese cars. Very practical cars. Because people do not have the budget to spend $1,000 on fuel. We don't have that. Like most people can't afford that. So the vehicles that sell the most is either because they're very practical, easier to repair. There are a lot of mechanics in Costa Rica, and people do not. And whenever somebody purchases a vehicle like that, like Cadillac, big engine, Tahoe, the Navigator, the big engine vehicles, they're nice, they're luxurious. We all like these cars, but they're not practical. You're gonna run into issues. If the transmission breaks, and I used to have a big engine Ford, and transmission blew on me once, and fixing it each time was $3,000 to get it fixed.
What are the major? I mean, I know a couple of them. Toyota's big down here.
Yeah.
Hyundai.
I'll say
Suzuki.
Japanese brands. If you narrow down, Japanese brands are good, and Korean brands. So Toyota, Honda, Nissan, Mitsubishi. Those are the four most popular Japanese brands, and then the Korean will be Kia and Hyundai.
What were you saying?
Isuzu as well.
You mentioned it before about even if they have those cars, and you're talking about like the bigger engine. Again, I'm not too good with cars, but you're talking about like a bigger engine. They might have that.
So Japanese brake. So what Michael is asking is, even though if you see a Toyota in Costa Rica, you may have a Toyota Tacoma in the U.S. or Toyota 4Runner in the U.S. You think, okay, there's a lot of vehicles like that in Costa Rica. It will be a vehicle that are gonna find parts, but the Costa Rica version or even the Latin America version is different than the version in the U.S. So the engine in Costa Rica for a 4Runner, if you buy it new at the dealership, they will have the American version, but they also will have the popular version, which is the local one, which is diesel engines. And you don't find a small, in the US, you don't find small cars with a diesel engine on it. They just can't see that. It's very rare. In Costa Rica, we'll have pickups and SUVs that are diesel. The fuel economy is just great. And it's just like driving a Yaris, but with a big car, you know. So we like that. So when people import these vehicles into Costa Rica, they think, okay, there's a lot of parts for it. I see it. For the body parts, that's okay. It looks exactly the same. So everything in the outside, you'll find replacement parts. But if something damaged within the engine of the vehicle, it may be a little harder to get it, even though it's a Toyota. So
there's a lot more considerations than just kind of going, I want to bring my car down, how much is it going to cost? There's a lot more of issues when you get it. There can be a lot more issues when you get it down here, which factors into should you bring it down here.
Yeah.
Right?
And then if let's say you sell your vehicle in the US, and now we're going to say something right now after COVID, this the after COVID effect. A lot of the used car market in the US make used car vehicles hold their value. For whatever reason, people were able to sell it for more. This is in the US and Canada. So if you sell a vehicle in the US, it's an advantage. You're losing less money because there's less depreciation because dealerships were having delays on newish cars. That's kind of something that is happening right now, last year or within this year. So you sell the vehicle, you get more money. And then just the advantage of flying down into Costa Rica, going and looking for a vehicle and getting the vehicle and get to drive it right away. That's something that you're losing if you're shipping the vehicle into Costa Rica. It's more practical. You save it on the rental car. But you have to be careful of what to buy. That's maybe another video, and not for me. That's for the mechanic or something. But that's practical things. You want to be practical about moving, like you're changing your entire life. And I talk to people that are shipping their household goods. They're selling their house in Canada and they're buying another house in Tamarindo. They are getting, looking for a school for their kids. They're doing this many other things. And then on top of that, you're shipping your vehicle. You're having to wait 90 days for the vehicle to get here. So I think it's very practical for just to, if you don't have to ship it, just buy it here. Just get yourself the information that is required to make a good purchase.
So maybe we should go the opposite on this video or this topic a little bit and go maybe a couple reasons why they should bring their car down. Or no, not should, but maybe a couple reasons why people, after they hear all this and they go, honey, we shouldn't be shipping our video. Did you hear Pablo say all that? Well, I'm bringing it down. What would be a couple of the reasons why, well, you've seen it. I mean, people talk to you. So what are some of the reasons people go, Pablo, I heard what you said and I see it's expensive, but I want to ship my vehicle.
It happens all the time.
What would a couple of the reasons why people decide to go ahead and do it?
A lot of people, they already have the vehicle paid off. They want to have it done. They really like their vehicle. So it's their personal choice. They may already have an established life in Costa Rica. They already have a house. They already have another car, so they don't have to worry about renting a car. They just want to bring this other vehicle down. So in that case, you're not gonna get that additional frustration of waiting for the vehicle because you need something right away. So in those cases, I think it makes sense. There's also some vehicles that, because of the vehicle pay not too much taxes, we just have to sit down in each particular case and do the estimates. There's some cases where you're shipping out of a place like Tampa where there is a good connection, lower cost. So if you're shipping from a place where it's not as expensive, okay, it may make sense.
And that's generally kind of East Coast versus West Coast, basically,
Yeah.
right? I mean, basically,
Yeah.
right?
Not just that. It's if you are. I mean, we can do a lot better on the Atlantic Ocean, but if you're near Florida, it's even better. So it's a lot less expensive if you're shipping out of Tampa or perhaps Miami than if you're shipping out of California or Seattle. It's just a lot more expensive. If you're shipping out of Colorado or somewhere in between everything, that's going to be super expensive. And I had a customer that is shipping out of Hawaii, which is like super complicated, super expensive. It's not really worth it. Now there's also not something that we haven't discussed yet. If you have a fully electric vehicle, which I think this may be the future, we don't have power outlets in every location yet, but it's getting more and more popular, and I think the country is very progressive about being,
There's incentives for an electric car, right? They're doing
so electric vehicles may be a little, there's a little hole there that it may make sense to ship a vehicle. If right now we don't have I don't think there is any brand new car that is less than 30,000. But if there is one that is less than 30,000, you get an exoneration. So you apply for an exoneration and then you don't pay import taxes. But there is very few. I don't think there is even one in the U.S. or Canada yet. New brands are working on coming with a lot more affordable vehicles maybe in the future. But
if it's 100%, they're
import
electric,
tax.
You get
And this is for 100%
electric,
not hybrid.
Yeah.
If it's hybrid, it's just like any other car. But if it's fully electric, you get a big incentive. Now, if it's used, if it doesn't meet all of the criteria to be fully exonerated, you still get a good discount. To give you an idea, most vehicles pay 53 to 73%
in import taxes.
In import taxes, just import taxes alone. If it's fully electric, if it's used, it's 17.29%. So
that's pretty good.
I'm doing a few Teslas right now, newish. They're paying 5,000, 6,000 versus a vehicle of that money, that is worth that money. It's going to be 18,000, 20,000. So
electric thing might be a whole different thing because that is kind of the future, and I'm sure it's going to.
But the challenge is Costa Rica. Depending if you live in up in the mountain in San Isidro de Pérez Celedón, or you live, it may not be worth it. It may be, it's like, where am I going to charge this into a tree? What am I going to, you know what I mean? So if you live in San Jose or, main area,
it may make more sense.
Maybe even Grecia or Atenas, which is not too far from the Central Valley. You're going to find a lot of places.
In La Fortuna, we have like one charging port in the town. There's nowhere else.
Yeah.
Maybe that.
Yeah. So really, you either got to just like your car, or you just. But 9 times out of 10, I think it's going to be less stress, and even less expensive to just sell your shit where you're at. Come over here. Go to crautos.com or .net or whatever.
Encuentra 24.
Yes, and buy a car. I mean, that's.
But do your research on buying those cars.
Well, of course. I mean, that's
VIN numbers, Carfax, whatever you call it.
Yeah, we went to Gracie one time to look for a used car. He ran every VIN number on the internet, and they were like, "Oh, this is a little car from no, it's a little, it's a flood car from South Carolina." So be very careful. Yeah.
And that's that's a reason. You said reason why to ship the vehicle. You know your vehicle.
Yeah.
You know what you bought. You bought it new, and I know I seen incidents where people play with the miles, the odometer, dealerships.
That's real here.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say.
50,000 kilometers usually.
Yeah. So they lower the odometer, they hook a computer in it, and then you're buying a vehicle from a dealership. You think that's kind of like why a lot of people ship the vehicles, because I know my car is a good car. Nobody has messed with it.
Or maybe they're a mechanic. I mean, maybe it's just some people go, if I can find the parts, I can work on my car. Maybe
well, if I still have my Mustang, I would bring it down.
Yeah.
Even though there's none here, I would I would bring mine.
All right, these videos like this, when there's there's a lot of nuance to them and a lot of details, a lot of times create more questions than answers. So
Put it in the comments.
yeah, put it in the comments. But if you want to get a hold of Pablo, write us at info@travelcostarica.com, and we will get whatever you do right over to Pablo, usually within about 10 minutes normally. I see it quickly and I forward that stuff. But anyway, if you want to get a hold of, write him. Don't write me, because I know nothing about cars or importing them. So anyway, guys, I'm Michael Allen. That's what I think. Yeah, thank you so much. Things are going to pop up. If you're thinking about living or traveling anywhere, you should always do your homework and research. And if it's Costa Rica, I'm going to say you want to watch videos like this. Ciao.